Hello everyone, welcome back to another quick battle replay on its current year. Today a Dark Elf versus Norsca matchup. Keen observers amongst you may recognise the Dark Elf build. We'll come back to it in a second, but we'll go through my opponent's Norsca build first. So quite a wide build. Okay, wide front line, just stock standard Marauders in the front line, and some Marauder Spearmen on the peripheries. He's taken some Norscan Ice Trolls, and obviously some Skin Wolves here on either flank as well. Some Marauder Berserkers backing up Wulfrik here on his Mammoth, who has taken Seafang Hunter of Champions, and it looks like also the Fight or Die ability. So no Sword of Torgvald, but he's on his Mammoth, so he's a pretty decent target. Over on the flanks, we have a unit of Throwing Axe Marauder Horsemen and some Norscan Warhounds. Same on the other flank, Throwing Axes and the Beasts of Tashnar, the anti-large frenzied Warhound variety. Pretty good unit at dealing with things like fast cav and skirmishes in the back and that sort of thing. So pretty wide formation. No magic. He's opted to go without magic today, but wide formation of just fairly cheap Marauder infantry, backed up by some good damage potential in the Ice Trolls and the Marauder Berserkers, and then the fast movers on the flanks. Heading back to my build on this side, the Dark Elves. As I said before, you might recognize this build. I have used it before. It was to take on Bretonnians in the last game I've used it, but I've found it's a pretty good all-comers Dark Elf list. A good basic Dark Elf list. It covers most of its bases. It has some mobile threats. It has some shooting in the form of these Dark Rider crossbows that are forward deployed in the forests here. It has similarly a fairly cheap frontline, dread spears, bleak swords, so shielded infantry to ward off any shots on the approach. Some anti-large here, reasonably good melee defense, basically just a little bit of a buffer. They have reasonably good leadership, elven infantry, and then the 2 units of Black Guard, the Hellebroni and the Witch Elves here for rampaging value targets, backed up by 3 units of Cold One Knights. Now, I did make a mistake and leave Malekith out here by himself, but that's okay, he's not too far away. So on Malekith, I've taken Word of Pain, Soul Stealer, none of his items, but also the Gaze of Malice ability, which is a great ability for clearing cheap infantry and that sort of thing, lightly armored targets. It can actually do a fair bit of damage once units get blobbed up. So we'll turn the play button on, and as you see here, I'm moving my Dark Riders up. I was wary of possibly some Marauder Horsemen being in here, but knowing that Norsca don't really have any long-range firepower, javelins and that kind of thing are fairly short-ranged. They can outpace, Dark Riders can actually outpace Marauder Horsemen, 90 speed versus 92. They also have a slightly longer range on the crossbows than the Throwing Axe variant. But I decided to play it safe and pull back. I was hoping to get a few shots in on Wulfrik when I saw him, or possibly some shots on the Ice Trolls, even the Skin Wolves. But I play it safe. I bring it back as I sort of move my battle line up. I don't want to move too far up into the tree line, because I want to have reasonably good visibility on my flanks, but I'm keeping everything pretty high and tight. Obviously bringing Malekith up from where I deployed him, but I'm going to sit hopefully my Dark Riders around the flanks, screen out the Hounds and the Marauder Horsemen if they come up with the cold ones as I slowly pace forward. He's on the slow move, so I decided to hold here. As I said, I want to have my flanks open. I've already got this wood here, which I'm a little bit cautious of, so I am sending my Dark Riders to the flanks here, because I do see the Hounds and the Horsemen just sort of making their way up. Nothing really, other than the Black Guard, which are probably a good target for the armor piercing of the Throwing Axes. I'm not too concerned if he's going to send shots into the Dread Spears, but I do send the Dark Riders off just to send a few warning shots, just to screen them back. I don't want to spend too much ammo here, but basically just to let him know that I've seen this, and he needs to be aware. I've also got the cold ones up here if they decide to come out, or if he sends the hounds up to deal with them. But I'm just biding my time here, sitting and waiting. We can probably put on a little bit of a fast forward here. So there's just some sort of jockeying for position. I do move up slightly as the front lines begin to meet, and I see he's got Wulfrik a bit further back. He's got the the skin wolves a bit further back, which are anti-large. So I do make a move with my Cold One Knights just to get a charge in and get some shock damage on the charge. I send a Gaze of Malice in there, but I see these guys out ahead, and I think anti-large, armor piercing, I can get stuck in here, get some free damage on the ice trolls, some free damage without too much sort of reply from the marauders, and then pull my cold ones back, because I do see him coming around the flanks with the skin wolves, with the hounds, with the marauder horsemen, and I do want to keep my my dark riders online and protected. So he is coming around here with a unit of hounds, but I am pulling back a unit of Cold One Knights here, which will be moved to intercept here. The trolls punch through the front line, but straight into the Black Guard, which I'm more than happy to take the charge here and just let my infantry just take the charge. They will take a fair bit of damage, but as you see here, unfortunately the Witch Elves do get terror routed off, but I have got some cold ones. I've got Malekith in here. A Word of Pain goes down on Wulfrik. He's overextended a little bit. I'm pulling back my Dark Riders to deal hopefully some shots in. Unfortunately, these ones do get terrified. So the infantry fight in the front line's not going too great for me, but that's kind of to be expected. The Hellebroni will hold reasonably well against Marauder Berserkers, and they're lightly armoured, so they won't... they'll actually perform quite well as damage dealers there, particularly with their poisoned attacks. The Skin Wolves here are dealing with Cold One Knights and Black Guards. So that's not a great fight for them. They get pushed off pretty quickly. I've got some routing infantry coming back. I've managed to rampage and really muck up Wulfrik here in and amongst Malekith and the Cold One Knights. But the return fire here from the Dark Riders is going to go well. I'm screening back in with my bleak swords. I'm happy to take the charge there. The Witch Elves are coming back, which will be good. And the Cold One Knights, or the remains of these ones, they rampage, so they'll stay in the fight a bit longer, but they're probably going to go down to these Skin Wolves. But as you can see here, Wulfrik is super low. There's a Sea Fang going down there, which does take out a few of my Dark Riders, but I've got Wulfrik routing. I've got Blackguard here holding up a large number of infantry. The Blackguard are holding pretty strong on this side. You can see here 74 kills on these ones, 57 kills on these ones. These ones have already nearly gained a chevron because they've been fighting the ice trolls, and we see just trying to stick and keep my Dark Riders out of trouble. And keep them away here from the Beasts of Tashnar. The Witch Elves here have rampaged a Skin Wolf, and I'm getting some more shots here from these Dark Riders into the wolves. But you look at these guys here, these Blackguard, great combat stats. You know, their leadership holes, even though they've just taken a rear charge. The Hellebroni holding like champs there in the front line. They've actually pushed off 2 units of Marauders. And I've still got, some reasonable amount of ammo left on my Dark Riders. 26 models here, 27 models over here, and my anti-large force in the Cold One Knights are sort of mobbing together here, along with the Witch Elves. They managed to actually rampage these before pushing the ice trolls off. The infantry fight is starting to turn my way. The Norscan infantry, by and large, is pretty good on the damage front, but they don't necessarily have the longevity of stuff like Blackguard and even these guys, the Hellebroni, with their melee defense. These Blackguard are holding up a big group of them. It's probably not really where I want the Blackguard, but I'm happy just to hold them back with the numbers here, fire some pot shots in. I do see Wulfrik here in the trees, so in a moment you will see the Dark Riders try and move over and get some shots into them. But we've got Malekith here, who's super healthy still. We've got Blackguard still holding. These guys are up to 100 kills. They'll hold all day against Marauders. And we've got some Cold One Knights in the charge here. We see a massive Gaze of Malice go down there on these 2 units, which will break them both off and relieve these Blackguard, which I then will pull back into the main force. Likewise with the Hellebroni, now that they have warded off these Skin Wolves. We see some regrouping skin wolves over here that are coming in, but they're taking shots from the Dark Riders, and they will have the pace to outrun them. So just sort of regathering my forces here. Everything's pretty tattered, but I've done pretty well in managing to deal with the large threat. I think the ice trolls have been shattered off. The skin wolves here are regrouping, but these ones are, oh, they've got 10 models left, but again, anti-large. Malekith here is healthy. Wulfrik is hiding here in the forest. He has a sliver of HP left, and just running out of options for the Norscan player here to really deal with what I've got left. The Blackguard here, they've held all game. They've held this flank basically by themselves. They've been reinforced recently by the Hellebroni, who have done pretty well. Certainly made their worth back in this fight. And as you see here, the Dark Riders move over. I figure if I route Wulfrik off here, we'll probably hit army losses, even though he's in the woods. And I see the Blackguard coming around the side here. I'm happy to take this charge at this stage because I want to try and get a bit of a sandwich movement, get the attack order so they're following here, and then sandwich with my Blackguard and my Cold One Knights. And with these guys going down, that will just about be army losses. This flank's completely collapsed. This one has just collapsed here. And with that, the battle ends in a Pyrrhic victory for the Dark Elves. So like I said before, this is the same list, exactly the same list that I took a couple of games back against the Bretonnian player. And I think, as I said before, it's a good starting point for a Dark Elf army, because I think it's got a lot of it's fairly versatile. It has mobile threats here in the Cold One Knights and the Dark Riders, so you can screen your Dark Riders with your Cold Ones. If anything gets nearby that can threaten them, you can push them away with the Dark Elves and keep these guys online. The Blackguard hold for days in the front line. We've got the frontline infantry here, which basically just provides you a little buffer. The Witch Elves are great for rampaging value targets from your opposition, so I think they got a couple of rampages off on a Skinwolf unit and even Wulfrik after that they came back from the initial terror route. The Hellebroni are they're just a really solid frontline infantry unit. Poison, anti-large, great melee defense, great leadership. They're pretty self-sufficient. They're sort of a bargain version of the Blackguard. For 700 gold, they often make back on that investment. So I find in most matchups they're actually a pretty solid pick for your frontline infantry, just to give you a little bit more reliability. Malekith on a Cold One here, can pick his fights reasonably well. He's got Word of Pain for a debuff if he gets against an enemy that maybe might have the better of him to debuff the melee attack. He's got a Soul Stealer for a heal. So like I said, it's a nice list. Obviously, it's not ideal. It's not going to win in every matchup, and as with any matchup, it's highly dependent on what your opponent brings. But as a starting point for a Dark Elf list, I've been having pretty decent success with this on the whole. As for my opponent's list, pretty wide front line. Probably just a little bit of mismanagement of the ice trolls going into the Blackguard and sending them too far ahead in the early stage and getting ganged up on by a couple of units of Cold One Knights. He had pretty decent flank harass with his marauders and his warhounds alongside the Skinwolves, but I was able to just screen out good matchups against Cold One Knights. Cold One Knights have reasonably good matchups against most of those things that Norscan warhounds won't really bother Cold One Knights. Skinwolves will, but one to one, and with the fire support of the Dark Riders and with a fair bit of anti-large infantry to pull back through, you can protect your Cold One Knights as well. So a good game, and thank you once again for checking this out, and we'll see you again soon.